revealed. The heartwarming truth behind his fiancée's incredible claim. A life-changing discovery. Jake Mitchell always had a way of bringing the community together in Maple Grove. As a 28-year-old mechanic, he poured his soul into fixing cars while balancing his responsibility to care for his mother and younger sister. The small town held tight to its values of hard work and honesty, wrapping Jake in a warm embrace that felt like home. Just before their wedding, it was Emily, his spirited fiancée and passionate elementary school teacher, who brought an unexpected twist to their lives. One evening, as they sat on the rickety porch of their little home, Emily's eyes sparkled with both excitement and concern. "Jake, you won't believe what I found," she exclaimed, holding a dusty old family document. I think you might be the heir to a family fortune." The words hung in the air like a balloon ready to burst. Jake's heart raced, but doubt started creeping in. They had dreams, a simple life, anchored in each other's love. As she presented her findings, newspapers, letters, and faded photos, the weight of the revelation pressed against Jake's chest. Could he really be more than just the mechanic everyone admired for his raw grit and dedication? The doubts bubbled up within him, echoed in the whispers of neighbors who valued sweat over silver spoons. "You have to look into it, Jake," Emily urged, her voice trembling with emotion. Yet the thought made him uneasy, like straying from a well-worn path. Before Jake could process the whirlwind of emotions, a storm sliced through Maple Grove, devastating homes and uprooting lives. The community, always resilient, banded together. As rain pounded down, Jake put aside his own troubles, stepping up to help repair roofs and mend fences. In those moments, the townsfolk watched him with admiration, witnessing a steadfast man who valued character over chaos. They saw his heart, and for a moment, his worries about lineage dimmed against a backdrop of collective hope. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications, so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As neighbors rallied around, a sense of purpose ignited in Jake's heart. The genuine appreciation from people he'd known since childhood felt like second nature. But in the quiet moments, when the chaos settled, the tension with Emily resurfaced. They had dreams, but what future awaited them? Could he turn away from potential fortune that might secure his family's future? Amidst this, a letter surfaced, tumbling out of an old box in the attic. It bore the promise of family secrets and hinted at ties that Jake would have to confront sooner than he thought. What lay ahead? Would he embrace this new identity, or cling to the hard-working life he had made? Staring into the twilight over Maple Grove, a single question echoed in the air. What defines a man's worth, bloodlines, or the strength of his heart? As the storm clouds drifted away, Jake faced the dawning possibilities ahead, unsure of which path would lead to true happiness. Jake awoke the next morning to the sound of birds chirping, the sun peeking through the cracked blinds. The storm had passed, but the weight of yesterday's revelations lingered with him like a fog. He sat up in bed, glancing over at Emily still asleep, her hair splayed across the pillow like sunshine. For a moment, he allowed himself to smile. Their life together was built on love, laughter, and the simplest joys. After a shower, Jake brewed a strong cup of coffee, hoping it would bring clarity to his racing thoughts. He grabbed the crumpled letter from the attic, letting the corners of the parchment crinkle under his fingers as he studied it. It suggested a family connection to a wealthy lineage, a road Jake had never considered he could walk. But there was something deeper at play. His life was here in Maple Grove, amidst the people who knew him not as an heir, but as Jake, the mechanic, the friend, the brother. The gentle clink of cups stirred Emily from her sleep, and she walked into the kitchen, her eyes brightening as she caught sight of him. "Hey there," she exclaimed, wrapping her arms around him. He could feel warmth radiate from her, a reminder that they were a team. But as they sat together, drinking their coffee, an unspoken tension laced the air. "What's wrong, Jake?" she asked, concern creasing her brow. Jake took a breath, feeling the weight of everything he needed to share. "I've been thinking a lot about the letter and what it means for us," he admitted, his voice heavy with uncertainty. "Sometimes I feel like this could change everything." Emily leaned forward, her expression a mix of support and worry. "But you're not defined by a letter or a fortune, Jake. You're you. Those things don't matter to me." "I know," he replied, his heart aching as he pondered her words. "But what if it means a better life for our family? What if I could take care of Mom and Lily better? What if we could finally have the home we dreamed of?" "Those dreams don't have to come from money, Jake. They come from us," she insisted, her eyes shining with conviction. "We can have everything we want if we're together." Just then, a knock at the door broke through their conversation. It was Mr. Thompson, the town's respected elder. He always seemed to know when someone needed guidance, and today was no exception. "Morning, Jake. Emily, mind if I come in?" Jake gestured for him to enter, and as Mr. Thompson stepped inside, he could see the concern etched on the older man's face. "I wanted to talk about the storm damage around the neighborhood. We could use a hand later," he suggested, his tone serious. "Of course. I'm in," Jake said automatically, but his mind was elsewhere. As Mr. Thompson spoke about the repairs, Jake felt a tug in his heart. This was his community, his home. With every word he realized that their collective struggles and triumphs were far more valuable than any inheritance. "I know you're dealing with a lot right now, son," Mr. Thompson added, noticing Jake's distant look. "Just remember, fortune comes in many forms, and sometimes it's all about the people at your side." Jake nodded, the elder's words stirring something important within him. Would he allow money to become his focus, or would he choose to face his true worth as a man of the town? As the conversation wrapped up, Jake glanced back at Emily, their eyes locking. A multitude of unspoken questions hung in the air. What path would he really choose? Could he prioritize love over lineage? Jake felt the stirring of an answer, but needed to explore the depths of his heart to reach it. With Mr. Thompson's visit fading into the background, another knock echoed through the house, more urgent this time, more insistent. Jake's pulse quickened. What challenge lay ahead? As he moved to answer, a flicker of hope sparked. Life in Maple Grove was rich, filled with possibilities he'd yet to uncover. What awaited them just beyond the door? Jake approached the door, each step echoing the rapid beat of his heart. The second knock thrummed deeper, a mix of urgency and apprehension. He peered through the peephole, squinting at the familiar silhouette on the other side. It was Lily, his younger sister, her figure tense and her eyes wide with a frantic energy. He flung the door open. "Lily, what's going on?" "Jake, you have to help, it's Mom." Her voice trembled, and though part of him wanted to brush aside the intensity, concern knotted in his stomach. "What happened?" he asked, quickly stepping aside to let her in. "She fainted in the kitchen," she gasped, catching her breath. "I tried waking her up, but she wouldn't." Panic washed over Jake, a tide of fear he couldn't ignore. Emily stood in the kitchen doorway, her expression shifting from curiosity to panic in a heartbeat. She crossed to Lily and placed a calming hand on her shoulder. "Is she breathing?" Emily asked, her voice steady but urgent. "I think so, but she hasn't woken up at all." Lily's eyes were glassy, fear unveiling itself with each word. Jake's thoughts whirled. His mother had been struggling with health issues, but he had hoped they were under control, He followed Lily out the door, urgency in every stride. "Let's go. I'll drive," he said. Emily grabbed her jacket, moving quickly beside him as they rushed toward the car. Inside the vehicle, silence enveloped them, broken only by the hum of the engine. After a few moments, Jake couldn't handle it anymore. "Lily, what did she say before?" he asked, trying to make sense of the chaos. Lily glanced back, her face pale. "Nothing. Just that she wasn't feeling well last night. I thought she was just tired." Jake gripped the wheel tighter, anger bubbling beneath the surface. He felt helpless, trapped in a situation that was spiraling out of his control. Every inch of his heart screamed that he should have known something was wrong. Emily reached out to him, her hand squeezing his shoulder. "You're doing everything you can, Jake. Just focus on getting to the hospital." Her presence grounded him, reminding him of what mattered most: family. As they arrived at the hospital, the stark fluorescent lights threw sharp shadows across the floor, amplifying the rising dread in his chest. They hurried through the entrance, rushing to the front desk. A nurse met them, her calm demeanor contrasting sharply with their frantic energy. "Please, we need to see our mother." "She fainted," Jake said, his words pouring out in a breathless rush. "Follow me," the nurse instructed without delay, leading them down a sterile hallway, the smell of antiseptic overwhelming their senses. Every second felt like an hour. In a small examination room, they awaited answers that seemed to come all too slowly. Jake paced the floor, emotions warring within him. He tried to latch onto memories: his mother making pancakes on a Sunday, laughing with them during family game nights. Those moments felt fragile now, like glass teetering on the edge of a table. His siblings' whispers filled the air, but Jake was wrapped in his thoughts. What if this was serious? How could he carry the burden of a family estate and the weight of his mother's health? The door opened, and a doctor stepped inside, her expression serious yet gentle. "I'm glad you're here. We're running some tests, but I think your mother will be okay." Relief washed over him, but the storm of worry still churned within. "What does that mean?" he asked, his voice hoarse. "Her blood pressure was very low, and that can cause fainting. We'll keep her for a short while, and I assure you, she's stable." Jake nodded, though he still felt a wall of anxiety pressing against his chest. With Emily beside him and Lily at his other side, he realized just how fragile everything was. Their hopes, their dreams, all hung in the balance, intertwined with the essence of their family. But as the doctor continued explaining the possible treatments, another thought consumed him. How would the news of their mother's condition affect his choices about the future? And the letter. As they gathered their thoughts, another knock echoed within the small room, this time sounding as if it might shatter the fragile hope that had been growing. Jake turned to the door, wondering what revelation awaited them next. Would it change their family dynamic permanently? What news was waiting just beyond the threshold? The moment Jake looked at the door, a mix of anxiety and curiosity bubbled inside him. The knock hung heavy in the air, charged with possibilities. He exchanged looks with Lily and Emily, who both held their breath, as if the air itself had become too thick to inhale. "Should I open it?" Jake asked, when the silence stretched too long. His heart raced again, the initial relief of their mom's stable condition overshadowed by the looming uncertainty of what was to come. Before anyone could answer, he took a step forward and turned the doorknob. It opened slowly, and Jake felt the weight of anticipation crackle around him. A tall man stood there, his face etched with concern. It took Jake a heartbeat to register who he was: Mr. Henderson, their mother's neighbor for years. The man rushed inside, his presence introducing a chill to the warm room. "Jake, I'm sorry to barge in like this," Mr. Henderson said, his voice thick with urgency. "I saw the ambulance outside when I came back from work. I had to come and offer my help. I hope that's okay." "Of course," Jake replied, trying to mask his unease. What do you know? Jake's eyes darted between Mr. Henderson and his sisters, noting the shift in their expressions. The neighbor's weathered face betrayed a storm of emotions: fear, worry, perhaps even guilt. I don't mean to alarm you, but I saw your mom just this morning. She looked unwell, but she waved me off when I asked if she needed anything. She always has that strong front, you know, he murmured, shaking his head. Jake felt a burning frustration rise to the surface. Why didn't you tell us? If you thought something was wrong, why didn't you call us? Mr. Henderson held up his hands. I didn't want to overstep. I thought it was just her being stubborn as usual. I didn't think it was this serious. The words stung. Jake's mind raced as anger collided with despair. How many times had their mother put on a brave face, hiding her struggles from the people closest to her? If anything, this only deepened the cracks in his already fragile sense of control. Is there more? Emily's voice cut through the tension, her eyes pleading for clarity as fear flickered across her face. Mr. Henderson hesitated, exposed under the weight of his own conscience. There's something else I have to tell you, he finally said, his tone dropping to a whisper. Yesterday, I found something among her mail. Something that might explain why she's been feeling this way. Jake felt a chill wash over him. What do you mean? It was a letter. It didn't look official, but it mentioned her health. Her worries, Mr. Henderson confessed, glancing at the siblings as if gauging their reactions. I didn't read it, but... But what? Lily implored, her voice fragile. There was a name, a doctor, someone I believe she's been seeing in secret, he continued, suddenly looking younger, more human under the scrutiny of Jake's fierce gaze. That's all I know. I didn't want to get involved, but seeing her faint, it changes everything. The revelation hit them like a tidal wave. Jake felt the ground beneath him shift, scrambling to find solid footing in this new anxiety. Secret visits? An unknown doctor? It felt as if the world they knew was fracturing, and now it was riddled with secrets. What do we do? Emily asked, her voice trembling as she intertwined her fingers with Lily's. I need to know what's going on, Jake replied, his voice steadying with determination. We have to figure this out together. Mom can't be alone in this. The distant sound of someone calling their names echoed through the hall, pulling him back to the reality they faced. But just as he began to feel a sense of purpose, the door opened again, and another figure stepped inside, a nurse with a concerned look, holding an envelope. Excuse me, but I believe you need to see this, she said, her eyes flicking between them. Jake felt his heart leap into his throat. What could possibly be in that envelope? As he reached out, a ripple of dread swept through him, signaling that whatever awaited inside would undoubtedly stake its claim on their family's future. Jake's fingers brushed against the envelope's edge, the paper cool and stiff under his touch. He could feel the nurse's gaze piercing through him, waiting, expecting him to unfold the truth packed inside. What is it? Lily's voice trembled, breaking the thick layer of silence that hung in the air like a storm cloud ready to burst. Emily stood beside her, the worry in her eyes mirrored in Jake's own anxious heart. The doctors believe this might help your mom, the nurse said, her voice gentle yet firm. She positioned the envelope between them, nudging it along like a lifeline thrown into turbulent waters. It's information about the doctor and a treatment plan. You'll need to discuss it with her when she's well enough. Jake tore at the seal, his heart pounding with anticipation. Little pieces of paper slipped out. He scanned the contents, each line feeling heavier than the last. There were lists of treatments, and at the top, a note from the doctor mentioning a rare condition. Jake's stomach dropped as the air became charged with new emotions. Fear and desperation settled like lead. Mom, he whispered, the name caught in his throat, barely escaping. What does it say? Emily asked, stepping closer, her small hands clenched into fists as if trying to suppress the dread she felt creeping through the room. "It talks about her health deteriorating," Jake choked out, each word dragging a weight of despair behind it. "And some medication she might need. It all sounds serious." Mr. Henderson shifted uncomfortably. "I'm sorry, kids. I should have said something sooner. If I had known—" He started but faltered, realizing the gravity of the situation was beyond any words of consolation. They all stood there, absorbing the implications of the letter, the reality settling in like a morning fog that refused to lift. Jake felt the urge to scream, to shake anger into the universe for letting this happen. The family that once felt so strong was now threatened by shadows they had yet to understand. "What do we do now?" Lily asked, her voice breaking the silence that had enveloped them once again. "We have to talk to her doctor," Jake blurted out, his determination igniting a spark of hope amidst the dark. "We need to know everything. No more secrets," he insisted, turning to look at each of them. "We have to be there for Mom. Support her." Emily reached for his hand, squeezing it with a strength that surprised him. "And if she's scared? What if she doesn't want us to know everything?" Jake looked her in the eye, feeling a resounding strength in their shared concern. "Then we let her know she doesn't have to face it alone. We'll fight this together." As if on cue, the sounds of commotion began filling the hall, doctors and nurses rushing, the beeping of machines reverberating like a heartbeat. The chaos pulled at them, grounding their reality and reminding them just how fragile hope could be. The nurse nodded, giving one last supportive glance. "You're going to need to be strong," she said softly before exiting, leaving the siblings alone with their worries and each other. As the door clicked shut, Jake felt the adrenaline surging again. It was time to act, to make sense of the chaos that was unfolding before them. With the letter now clutched tightly in his grip, he turned back to his sisters. "Let's find that doctor. We need answers, and we need them now," he said, determination hardening his voice. With that, they set out, leaving behind the warmth of the room, stepping into the uncertain path ahead. But as they moved, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that despite all the fear, they were on the brink of a discovery that might just change everything. Would they find the answers they sought, or would the truth cut deeper than any of them could bear? Jake led the way down the bustling corridor, his sisters flanking him. The fluorescent lights overhead buzzed, casting a harsh glow that brought every detail into sharp focus. The sterile smell of antiseptic, the anxious faces of families sitting on the benches, the muted conversations of nurses exchanging reports. His heart raced, pumping determination through his veins as they pushed ahead. Lily was quiet, deep in thought. He glanced over, noticing her brow furrowed, her usually bright demeanor dimmed by the weight of uncertainty. He wanted to comfort her, to promise that everything would be okay, but they hadn't even spoken to the doctor yet. "Jake," Lily's voice was barely above a whisper. "What if the treatment doesn't work?" He turned to face her fully, his hand resting on her shoulder. "We have to believe it can," he insisted, trying to convey strength with his gaze. "We just need to understand what we're dealing with first. Once we know more, we can help her." Emily looked up at him, her big eyes searching his face for reassurance. "You really think we can fight this, Jake? I mean, if it's as bad as it sounds." "We will fight it, Em." His voice was steady, despite the tumult in his chest. "Mom has been our rock. We owe it to her to stand strong now." As they rounded the corner, Jake spotted the doctor, a tall, serious-looking man with salt and pepper hair and glasses perched on his nose, concentrating hard as he flipped through a chart. Jake felt a mix of urgency and fear as he approached, the knot in his stomach tightening again. "Doctor," he called out, his voice cutting through the noise. The man looked up, his demeanor shifting to one of acknowledgement as he noticed the trio. "Ah, you must be the Henderson kids." His gaze softened slightly, bringing a tiny spark of comfort. "I'm Dr. Lane. I understand you've been given some information about your mother's condition?" "Yes," Jake replied, stepping forward, pushing aside any trace of hesitation. "We want to know everything, please." Dr. Lane nodded, ushering them to an empty room nearby. "Let's sit down. There's a lot to cover." The three siblings took their seats, anticipation buzzing in the air. Jake noticed Lily take a deep breath, while Emily fidgeted with her hands. "Your mother has been diagnosed with a rare autoimmune disorder," Dr. Lane began. "It's complicated, but with early intervention—" "Wait!" Jake interrupted, panic rising in him. "Is she going to be okay? Can the treatment help her?" Dr. Lane held up a hand, his expression serious but calm. "The treatment options we have available are promising, but it's important that you understand the full scope of this condition. She will require a significant amount of support, and there will be challenges ahead." The words felt heavy. Jake exchanged glances with his sisters, emotions swirling between them: fear, hope, defiance. "What kind of support?" Lily asked, her voice both brave and small. "We'll start with a new medication regimen and possibly some therapy. Regular checkups will be crucial," Dr. Lane explained, his tone professional yet empathetic. "Your involvement, her family, will play a key role in her recovery." The gravity of his words hung in the air. Jake squeezed Emily's hand, feeling her tremble. "We can do this," he murmured, his heart racing. "More than anything, your mother needs to know she's not alone," Dr. Lane added, meeting their eyes one by one. "That's where you all come in." Emotions churned, and as realization hit him, Jake felt a spark of resolve igniting. "We'll be there, all the time." With that commitment hanging in the air, a new sense of purpose filled the room. They weren't just dealing with a diagnosis, they were standing at the edge of a fight, a journey that could bring them closer, or shatter everything as they knew it. But as they left the doctor's office and the droning noise of the hospital enveloped them again, Jake felt another wave of fear. What if they weren't enough? Would they truly be able to support their mother through the toughest battle of her life? Before he could dwell on it, Jake noticed a nearby nurse examining charts. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw a glimpse of vibrant art on the wall, a mural of family and togetherness. It sparked a flicker of hope in his heart. "Let's get our mom those answers," he urged, finding strength in his voice again, ready to face whatever storm lay ahead. But little did he know, the journey was going to reveal secrets that would push their family to its limits. What awaited them next would redefine everything they knew about love, hope, and healing. Jake led his sisters down the corridor, the sound of their footsteps echoing against the sterile tiles. Every stride felt heavy, weighed down by the reality of their mother's diagnosis. Lily's silence was palpable as they walked. The vibrant energy that usually surrounded her seemed dimmed, replaced by an uncertainty that gnawed at Jake. She was usually the glue that held them together, her laughter lightening even the darkest of days. Now she was struggling under the gravity of fear. "Are we really ready for this?" Lily finally spoke, her voice a mixture of worry and hesitation. Jake looked at her, searching for the right words. "We have to be. Mom's counting on us." Emily, clutching her sister's hand, added, "I don't want Mom to be scared. She needs to feel us there." Her small voice trembled just a bit, echoing the weight of their emotional burden. As they walked past a waiting area populated with anxious families, Jake's heart sank. He could see mirrored reflections of his own expression, the fear of the unknown, the hope tangled in a web of despair. Each family member was clinging to one another, a reminder that love was the one thing that could push them through. When they reached their mother's room, Jake felt a lump form in his throat. He braced himself, pushing the door open gently. The room was bright, but felt cold, filled with the beeping of machines and the faint scent of antiseptic. Their mother lay in the bed, her face pale but peaceful, connected to tubes and monitors. Jake's chest tightened at the sight of her. She had always been their rock, the heartbeat of their family, and seeing her vulnerable and frail was like a punch to the gut. "Hey, Mom," Jake said softly, stepping closer. "Jake, Lily, Emily," she murmured, a weak smile erupting like sunshine breaking through clouds. "I'm so glad you're here." "Always," he replied, placing his hand over hers, feeling the warmth of her skin against his. The connection ignited something deep within him, a reminder that this moment was a pledge to stand by her no matter what. After a few moments of silence, their mother's eyes sparkled with determination, a feeble echo of her usual fiery spirit. "Have the doctors given you the plan?" "We talked to Dr. Lane," Lily said, her voice trembling slightly as she spoke. "He's optimistic, Mom. He said we can help you through this." A flicker of hope ignited in their mother's eyes. "Good, because I'll need you all to be my strength." Tears threatened to spill down Emily's cheeks. "We're family, Mom. We'll do it together." "That's right," Jake said, holding her gaze. "We are stronger as a unit." Jake attempted to infuse the room with warmth, highlighting the togetherness they had always cherished. However, behind his smile was a growing concern. Could they truly be the caretakers their mom needed? Then, as if sensing the weight on his heart, their mother lifted her hand, holding Jake's tightly. "I want you to know, I have something to tell you all." Her voice trailed off, hesitation clouding her expression. "What is it, Mom?" Lily asked, fear creeping into her voice. "It's something I've held back. About my condition. About our family." She looked away, as if wrestling with her own words. Jake's stomach twisted. Whatever she was about to say, he had a feeling it was big. Maybe bigger than the diagnosis itself. "Mom, you can tell us anything," he urged gently. "We're ready to hear it." She took a deep breath, and in that moment, Jake could feel the air shift. Something important was about to unfold. Would it alter the reality they were stepping into? Just then, the phone in Jake's pocket buzzed, the sharp sound cutting through the tension. He pulled it out, glancing at the screen. It was a message from an unknown number, but it was the content that froze his blood. "We need to talk about your mother's past. It's urgent." Jake's heart raced. "Wait, what?" The unexpected message stirred a mix of confusion and fear within him. As he absorbed the weight of those words, Jake realized they were approaching not just a battle against an illness, but a fight against unearthing secrets that had the potential to change everything they thought they knew. "What do you mean?" Jake whispered to himself, dread and curiosity intertwining. And so, as they stood on the precipice of revelation, he wondered, what truth lay hidden in their mother's past, and how would it reshape their family's fight for hope? Jake's hands shook as he stared at the anonymous message on his phone. The world around him faded into a blur, trapped in the weight of uncertainty. What could possibly be waiting in the shadows of their mother's past? He felt a knot tightening in his chest, the urgency prickling on his skin like static electricity. "Jake?" Lily's voice broke through his thoughts. She was looking at him with wide eyes, a question hanging in the air between them. "What is it?" He swallowed hard, trying to regain control. "Just a message. I think we need to hear what Mom wants to tell us first." But the words felt heavy, laced with foreboding as they filled the room. Their mother shifted slightly, a hint of struggle crossing her face, as if gathering strength for the burden of her words. It was a rare glimpse of vulnerability, making Jake's heart ache. What could be so significant that it overshadowed her illness? "Mom, you can tell us anything," he reiterated, his voice steadier than he felt. Taking a long, deep breath, their mother met their eyes one by one, her expression a blend of fear and resolve. "I've kept things from you," Things that might explain why I am the way I am, she started, her voice quivering but steady. There's so much of my life you don't know. Decisions I made that have shaped our family in ways you can't imagine. Jake felt the blood rush from his face. What kind of decisions? He dared to ask, wishing that he could take the words back the moment they left his lips. She glanced at Emily, who was still clutching Lily's hand tightly, eyes wide and glassy with unshed tears. It all goes back to my childhood, she continued, her gaze drifting as if recalling distant memories. To a time of choices made out of survival. With every word, Jake's anxiety intensified. He felt a deep-rooted impulse to protect his sisters, to shield them from whatever storm was brewing. At the same time, his curiosity spiked. What familial truths had remained locked away all this time? "Mom, please," Lily urged, her voice small, but filled with determination. "We need to understand. There are pieces missing, and we'll only be whole if you share them." The corners of their mother's lips twitched, a flicker of pride mingling with sorrow. "You deserve to know the truth. I've kept you sheltered, but maybe it's time to be honest." Just then, the phone buzzed again, startling everyone. This time, Jake instinctively knew he had to respond. He glanced at the screen. It was another message. "Meet me tomorrow at the park. It's about your mother. Don't tell her." The panic crashed over him like a wave, but he held fast to his mother's words. "Mom, I need to ask you more about your past," Jake said quickly. Maybe now is the time to tell us everything." Their mother hesitated, her eyes searching their faces as if weighing the consequences of her choice. "There were things I did to keep you safe from the ghosts of my past." Her voice turned raw, laden with an emotional weight that threatened to crush them all. Jake's heart raced. Could these secrets unravel what little stability they had left? Or could they provide clarity and connection? As his mind buzzed with questions, a sudden thought hit him. If their mother's past intertwined with the unconventional message, what kind of truth was waiting for them? "Mom, what if—" Jake struggled to articulate the tremors of dread and hope dancing in his mind. What if the past can help us fight for the future? Silence filled the room, thick and heavy, as they all held their breath, caught between revelation and the fear of the unknown. The tension felt electric, crackling in the air around them. Finally, their mother's eyes softened, and she nodded once. "Then you must be prepared for the heartbreak that often accompanies the truth." Jake felt his insides twist. As he looked around at his sisters, he knew this was more than just family history. It was a revelation that could either heal or fracture everything they had built together. "Let's get through this," he whispered, trying to anchor their family amidst the storm. Together. And as the glow of late afternoon light spilled into the room through the window, Jake's phone buzzed again. This time, he hesitated. The gravity of choices weighed heavy. Would he follow this thread into darkness, or find the light that lay hidden beneath? With a pounding heart and a nod of uncertainty, he glared at the device before him. What awaited them in the light of truth? With that thought locking him in place, he reached for the phone, and they all stood on the brink of revelation, ready or not. What secrets could the past hold, and how would it change their present? Jake's thumb hovered above the screen, heart racing wildly as he stared at the blinking cursor, torn between his mother's plea for openness and the call from the shadows. The thought of burdening his family further gnawed at him. "Mom, I need to know. What are you afraid of?" The question slipped out, thick with the tension hanging in the air. Their mother's expression faltered. A flicker of panic crossed her face, barely perceptible yet loaded with implications. "It's not just about my past, Jake. It's what you might uncover. Things I did to protect you." Lily squeezed Jake's arm, her eyes pleading. "We can handle it, Mom. Just tell us." A long silence stretched between them, filled with unspoken fears. Their mother's gaze drifted again, lost in a memory that seemed sharper than the present. "I was young and desperate. I made deals that haunted me for years. I thought I could shield you from the truth, but it's time you knew." Jake's insides twisted tighter. "What kind of deals?" he pressed, anxiety clawing at him. She took a shaky breath, as if the very act of speaking stirred ghosts from their graves. "There are people from my past who could threaten our safety, connections I thought I could sever. But by not sharing my struggles with you, I've placed you in the crosshairs." All sibling arguments faded, buried under the weight of what she was revealing. "What do you mean? Threaten our safety? Are we in danger?" "Please, just listen." A rush of emotion broke through their mother. She cracked, vulnerability spilling over. "I was involved with some dangerous individuals. They don't forget easily. If they find out I've lived a quiet life, that I stayed away from all of that, they may look for their cut. Or worse." Jake felt a lump grow in his throat. The protective shield around their family, the one they'd built so carefully, felt flimsy now, as if a gust of wind could blow it away. "What do we do?" "I have to confront it, and I'll need your help." "Help?" Jake echoed, bewildered. "How?" Their mother hesitated, clearly pondering how to frame her next words. "You must know who I tied my fate to back then. If I am to face the past, you have to understand my choices, all of them, even the ones I regret." Lily and Emily exchanged glances, uncertainty draping over them like a shadow. "Mom, are you sure about this?" Lily asked, her voice quavering. "What if it puts us all at risk?" Tears pricked their mother's eyes, frail and deep. "Choosing to live in ignorance may feel safe, but it's a lie that can endanger us all. Your ability to fight, to stand by me, comes from the truth. I can't protect you by keeping secrets anymore." Jake's mind spun with possibilities. The looming message from the unknown sender loomed over him like a storm cloud. "Mom, there's a message I received. An anonymous one. It said to meet someone tomorrow about you. I don't know if it's connected." Her eyes widened, concern etching deeper lines on her face. "Who? Who sent the message?" He shook his head, uncertain. "I don't even know if it's real. But what if it ties into what you're facing? What if they know something?" The atmosphere shifted, crackling with urgency. "You cannot go alone," she whispered, fear palpable in her voice. "If there are ghosts from my past still lingering, it's too dangerous." "We'll go together," Jake declared, determination setting in. "We'll face whatever comes. As a family." His sisters nodded, their unity forming a protective circle around their mother. The reality of their situation settled heavy on their shoulders. But amid it all, a shadow of doubt still lingered. Jake thought of the message, how it pulled him into this moonlit darkness. Tomorrow felt like a leap into an abyss, and he wasn't sure if they would fly or fall. As they sat in silence, a single question lay heavy on each heart. Was knowledge a blessing or a curse? And would the answers they sought lead them further from safety, or bring them closer together as a family? A small sound erupted from the phone on the table again. A notification, the screen illuminated with a fresh warning that broke through the tension, insistent and merciless. Jake's breath hitched. What now? What if it's a trap? He murmured, dread pooling in his stomach. Lily moved closer to him, her reassurance grounding him. We won't let fear decide for us. We choose to uncover the truth, together. But as night closed in, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that this journey into darkness was only just beginning. What awaited them on the other side of knowledge? The sun rose, casting a gentle warm glow on Maple Grove as the world began to stir. Jake's heart pounded, knowing the weight of the day ahead. He could feel the tension coursing through him, a mix of fear and determination. Today would be the day they unraveled the threads of the past and faced the shadows creeping up on their family. In the small kitchen, he found Emily pouring coffee, her brow creased with worry. "Are you ready?" she asked, handing him a steaming mug. "I will be," he replied, forcing a smile. But inside, his heart raced with uncertainty. The weight of their mother's secret histories pressed against him, darkening even the brightest mornings. Yet, he had come to realize that she had been right all along. Truth was the best ally they could have. A soft knock at the door brought Lily's voice. "Guys, it's time. We need to go." Jake took a deep breath before joining his sisters at the door, the dread almost palpable. As they stepped outside, the early morning air felt fresh, yet heavy with unspoken fears. Each step toward the park felt like a march into unknown territory. Arriving at the park, they were greeted by a sense of normalcy. Families enjoyed picnics, children laughed, and the scent of blooming flowers wafted through the air. Yet the uneasy knot in Jake's stomach only tightened as he scanned the area for the mysterious figure who had summoned him. He spotted a tall shadow lurking under a tree, an unknown man with an expression that seemed both wary and watchful. The moment Jake approached the stranger, a flicker of recognition shot through him. "Jacob?" The man stepped forward, eyes searching Jake's face, as if examining a long-held secret. "Yes, who are you?" Jake asked, his wariness apparent. "Call me Marcus. I have something to discuss with you about your mother, and the past she's kept hidden." The words thrilled Jake and brought a rush of anxiety. The strange man's demeanor, though calm, sent a chill down his spine. "What do you mean?" "Your mother is more than just the woman you think you know," Marcus said, leaning in closer. "Her past is far darker than family secrets. There are people out there who want to claim what she stole from them, a legacy she thought she could bury." Jake felt his heart sink as his thoughts raced. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because she's at risk, and perhaps so are you." Marcus's eyes bore into Jake's, intensity radiating from him. "I know what's been happening, and I can help, if you're willing to hear it." Behind Jake, he could sense Emily and Lily's presence, determined, yet trembling with fear. "Whatever you have to say, if it affects my family, we want to hear it," Jake said, voice steadier than he felt. Marcus straightened, glancing around before continuing. "You need to understand the gravity of the situation. Your mother made powerful enemies, and they don't forget easily." "Enemies?" Lily's voice trembled. "What do you mean?" "Safe ravages ran through their world, and she learned how to navigate it," Marcus explained, "but at a great cost. If they realize she's here, they may come for what she took, bringing the danger to your doorstep." The truth was like ice, threatening to pierce through the warmth of familial love. "How do we stop this? How do we make sure we're safe?" Jake demanded, heart racing. Marcus's expression shifted, solemn and grave. "You have to confront her past together. It won't be easy." With resolve tightening in his chest, Jake felt a flicker of hope. "You're right. We have to do this as a family. We're stronger together." With each revelation, they crafted a plan. They would gather their mother's histories, the truths written in time, the stories that had shaped their lives. They would face whatever enemies lingered, standing shoulder to shoulder, heart to heart. Eventually they returned home. The air felt charged, secrets loomed, but so did their resolve. Upon entering the house, Jake found their mother waiting, brighter than he'd seen in days. She immediately sensed the change. "What is it?" she asked, noticing their tense expressions. "Mom, "We learned a lot," Jake began, standing tall. "And it's going to cost you. We need you to tell us everything. We're ready." A moment of heavy silence hung between them, a disconnect formed by barriers of fear and love. And then, with a nod that radiated strength of spirit, their mother gathered them in her arms, the warmth of family intertwining with choice and vulnerability. "I'm ready to face the truth with you," she whispered. As they embraced, the power of their bond gleamed brighter than any dark past. Jake knew that whatever lay ahead, they would face it as one. Secrets would no longer shadow their family. They would become a source of strength, and together they would find their way forward, no matter the challenges. With that, they were set on a journey, not just to uncover family history, but to build a future grounded in honesty and connection, choosing love over fear as they stepped boldly into the unknown. Remember, this is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep the good vibes flowing. I want to hear from you. Comment your reactions and feelings about this emotional ending. And don't wait, not even one more second, to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.